Welcome to the Easily Amused group.
Hey, guess what? This is my theme song.
I'm going to review Maleficent, and I'm going to be discussing spoilery type stuff, so consider this your spoiler warning. If you would rather avoid the spoilers and see the film for yourself, then click this annotation right here, and you'll be skipped ahead in this video to after all the spoilery stuff. I wouldn't blame you. I don't like spoilers either. I tried very hard to avoid hearing who was going to play the 12th Doctor. Unfortunately, it was the weekend of VidCon, and I only lasted about 20 minutes. Anyway, go ahead and click the annotation. I'll wait. Are the sissies gone yet? Okay. I really enjoyed the first half of the film. It showed Maleficent in a whole new light. I actually really started to feel bad for Maleficent, and then I started to hate King Stephen. It shows Maleficent was once a very powerful fairy, though she was a bit big for a fairy the size of a full-grown Angelina Jolie. And because she was in love with King Stephen and he knew that iron burns fairies, he was able to manipulate her into trusting him and steal her wings, making her completely justified. And all the best villains are completely justified. That first battle scene was really cool, with the tree ants and the tree serpent taking out the legion of the king's army. When Maleficent used her powerful wings to send a shockwave gust of wind down on the king's army, I was like, holy corn dog! She's badass! I really liked how they gave her such a detailed backstory. From what I remember about the old cartoon Sleeping Beauty, we didn't really know too much about Maleficent's backstory or why she hated Aurora so much. Incidentally, don't try to search for Sleeping Beauty on Netflix. You won't find it. You would just find a movie where You'll just find a movie where Emily Browning plays a sedated prostitute. On second hand, maybe you should go look it up. A few weeks ago, Jenna and I went to Disneyland, where we were able to see a 15-minute preview of the film, and what they showed was baby Aurora's christening scene. Christening scene? Kristen Stewart, where Maleficent actually places the curse on baby Aurora, which doesn't actually happen until almost halfway into the film. Unfortunately, when the film got to that scene is when I started finding things to take issue with. Though I actually liked Maleficent herself the best in that scene, because that's A, when she's the most powerful. Unfortunately, B, that's really the only scene in the movie where she's a villain. As much as I enjoyed that scene for what it was a little bit misleading. It kind of presented Maleficent in kind of it was presented in such a way to suggest that Maleficent already had a reputation across the land as an evil, feared witch creature person. Everyone who was there in the castle hall was scared of her. However, in the film, prior to that scene, everyone thought she was dead. The king was the only one that knew she was still alive. In fact, it was him lying to the previous king and everyone else about killing her that got her the throne in the first place. Yet no one questioned it. Not a single person throughout the entire rest of the film came up to the king and was like, yo, you said you killed her, but she's here. What up? From that scene on, the entire tone of the film changed. The epically exciting pace slowed way down. The king sends his daughter Aurora to live in a cottage in the woods with the pixies to keep her away from Maleficent, which was kind of a pointless move because Maleficent found her right away, like the very same day. Maleficent walks right up to Aurora's window, close enough to change her diaper. And her protectors, the pixies, who were really only there for comic relief, didn't even know she was there! And yes, you did recognize Knotgrass as Dolores Umbridge. She's not only Knotgrass, she's a pixie! Enter Prince Philip, about 2/3 of the way into the film. A very awkward young man who looked more like a gawky teenager than a noble prince, who meets Aurora very briefly and then is expected to defeat the curse by giving her true love's kiss. He barely knows her. No wonder it didn't work. But once it didn't work, I knew exactly what was gonna happen. Did anyone else see Frozen? Disney seems to be moving away from the classical glorifying romantic love in favor of a more perennial kind of family-oriented love. Which, I actually have to say, I kinda like the message behind that. Prince Philip played such a tiny part that he was actually almost not even needed. In fact, I'm pretty sure he was only there to set up for Maleficent's kiss. And I kept wanting to see Melora? Melora Harding is from The Office. And I kept wanting to see Maleficent use more magic to fight off the king at the end and save Aurora, because all throughout she's this big powerful magic creature, but she hardly uses any magic at the end. Then Maleficent's severed off wings that somehow didn't decay after 16 plus years come back to life and on their own accord fly across the castle and reattach themselves to Maleficent's back. These formerly severed body parts. And then the king looks at her and says, "So what do you call yourself?" And she says, "The Aristocrats!" Welcome back, all of you who decided to skip the spoilers. You probably found yourself in the middle of the last line of that joke, and you're never gonna know what I said. Nya, 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 nya. Those of you who stuck around for the spoilers, don't tell them in the comments. It'll be our little secret. Ding. Anyway, final thought. Did I like it? Yes, I did. Did I enjoy it? Yes, I did. Do I recommend you seeing it? Yes, I do. Just keep in mind, it's a very different take on the story than what you're probably used to. Trailer watch. The first up on today's trailers of movies to watch out for, Dumb and Dumber 2, spelled T-O. The long-awaited, highly anticipated sequel to Dumb and Dumber sees Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels finally reunited as Harry and Lloyd. The trailer does make the movie look pretty entertaining, especially if you were a fan of the first one, though it does have two big things working against it. First of all, it falls victim to the stereotypical trailer blunder where they give away pretty much the entire plot in the trailer. And two, Hollywood is pretty much swimming in sequels and remakes right now. Nevertheless, it still looks pretty funny, and I'm still gonna go see it, even if it is a little bit more raunchy than the first one. And this brings me to the second of today's trailers for movies to watch out for, because you can't really say that Hollywood is entirely unoriginal anymore. And as proof of that, Lucy appears to be a refreshingly new idea. To my knowledge, it's not a remake or a sequel, though I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out to be a remake or something. If anyone knows something I don't, tell me in the comments. Other stuff of note. Last Saturday, Weird Al tweeted this picture, hinting at the possible release of a new album. Though, even Weird Al described it as cryptic, because it doesn't really give any information. It's basically just his picture and a date, though it has been several years since the release of his previous album, Alpocalypse. So it's about time for a new album, so let's hope that it's not just the day that he's going to inflate a balloon and let it loose into the sky with all of our hopes and dreams of a Weird Al album coming out soon. Wow, that got dark quick. Either way, expect more coverage on this because Weird Al is one of my absolute favorite artists. Today is the last day to donate to the fundraiser to submit my short film to festivals. If you haven't yet seen it, please take a moment to watch the trailer. There's a link in the place where links generally are, along with a link to the trailers that I previously spoke about before the outro. Thank you for watching The Easily Amused Group, the show where evil is complicated. Because it says that on my hat.